All right, welcome everybody back to another Muffins with Morgan. I'm your host Morgan J. Ingram here, and I have Modern Millie here. And if you don't know who Modern Millie is, you're gonna learn today real quick. She's ready to drop some crazy insight. And as y'all know, with Muffins with Morgan, we have a soundboard. Happy Friday! Hope everyone's feeling good. And as we dive into this, let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to see that. We've seen people from all across the world who joined in on this. And today I'm going to talk to Millie about how can you become a creator in today's age. She's done a phenomenal job in building her own brand across multiple platforms. So we're excited to see what she's going to talk about. But as people tell us where they're tuning in from, where they're at, and the questions they're going to dive into, Millie, let us know a little bit more about yourself and what you're excited about the most today to talk about.
Ooh, okay. Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you, Morgan, for having me. So stoked that we met back in the day and that we were able to get this situated and going. Hi, everybody. I'm Millie. I'm an online educator and YouTuber. I teach any content creator or aspiring content creator how they could build their personal brand, scale on multiple platforms, and profit from their passions of content creation. I've been making YouTube videos since like middle school when my little brother and I had a YouTube channel, and never thought of it as being a YouTuber at the time, but over time, as I got into the corporate job and the corporate space, I really missed video creation. So jumped back to YouTube, and here I am. It's been pretty fun. I started posting in 2020 when the world was fun. And 3 years later, my channel's now at 300,000 subscribers, over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and 30,000 over at TikTok.
Awesome. Well, clearly, you know exactly what's going on. You know what you're doing. Today's conversation, if you haven't been on Muffins with Morgan before, I get really deep inside the expert's head and understand what's going on, what they're doing, so it leads to success. So that's what we're doing today. And if you have any questions for Millie, drop them in the chat. I'm going to be getting into your questions and asking her as well. But let's shout out a couple people here across the board. All right, so we have who's in the house? We got California in the house. We have Dallas in the house. Georgia. Shout out to Georgia. I'm in Georgia now as well. So shout out to Atlanta. Iowa in the house. We got Germany. We got a lot of people coming through. So shout out to you all coming through. Obviously, we love to hear your insights and we love to hear your questions. So where I first want to start with you, Millie, is when you think of a creator, what exactly does that mean to you? And the reason I'm asking this question is I think when people think of a creator, you have to have this kind of setup I have right now, a mic, you got a light, studio, craziness. Like, do you need all that when you're starting? Like, what does a creator mean to you?
Oof, that's a good question. I wish I thought through a fancy schmancy, super beautiful, magical answer for everybody. But honestly, to me, it's as simple as somebody who creates and posts what they create. It doesn't it doesn't have to be a nice setup, a camera, like full DSLR camera, magical podcast microphones, cool, sound effects here and there. It's just somebody who truly loves creating, whether that's photo content, video content, podcast audio, live streaming. They just love to create and they love to share what they create with other people.
I love that. And so when you think about creating and someone wants to go on this path to start their creation journey, what are the core things that they need to be thinking about in terms of that journey? Like what topics should they be focused on? Should they be focused on things that they absolutely like? Should they be focused on things that they're good at, but maybe not like? How should someone start this journey?
Yeah, for everybody, I think it's going to look a little bit different depending on what you want your life to look like and how you picture that full-time creator vision to be. For me, that full-time creator vision had nothing to do with my personal life. So I wanted to build a brand and business that didn't dive into my personal life. And that's not because I don't think lifestyle content doesn't work. It's because I just didn't want that for my business. So first of all, I think it just matters what your vision is, and then you can craft what you do around that. I think it's important for everybody to start out defining their crux, and the crux is the nucleus heart of your content and your passion as a creator. You can figure out what your niche niche, whatever you want to call it. Your
Yep.
niche is your target audience, and then like your unique positioning and how you approach content creation that's different from other creators in that field.
So I think there's something in here that we absolutely want to talk about. And for everyone asking your questions, we're definitely going to get to you. So for myself, I'm LinkedIn, and I went from about 500 connections in the past 7 years, about 150,000 followers, and I was really focusing on that niche or whatever it was. It's like the kind of like the GIF conversation. It's like, all right, like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. All right, we all know what we're talking about. So in that, I really focused on something. Then I expanded. So for everyone in here that's listening and they're like, all right, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I need to niche down. I feel like I need to start. Okay, those things are great. How do you figure out what the vision is for yourself? Do you have to go out in the desert and do something, do like a whole like spiritual journey? Do you just
Yeah.
like write it down? Like, do you need to get mentors for this? Like, how do you get the vision so that you can just start?
Yeah, well, the desert is a great place to start. I'm just kidding. Well, first, before we talk about like how to figure out what that vision is, let me also touch on the whole question, do you need to even niche down? Do you need to pick a niche?
Yeah.
And the answer to that is yes or no, depending on the platform you want to grow on. So nowadays, TikTok makes it super easy for anybody to grow. You don't have to niche down. You don't got to pick a topic. Their algorithm is super loosey goosey, so it's totally fine to just create lifestyle content on TikTok because the algorithm just measures it per video. Does it help? Yeah, it helps a lot to niche down so you could see quicker success. Instagram, you absolutely have to niche down because that's how their algorithm was created. That is the way to do it. They categorize your entire account and they put you in a box in like a topic. And if you post outside that topic, content's not going to perform well. That's just how Instagram is. And then
Right.
YouTube's kind of like happy medium. There, you don't have to pick a topic, but there does have to be a very unique approach that you have to identify to see rapid success on YouTube. So that's kind of the answer there. Getting clarity on your vision. For me, what helped me was asking my husband, or he was like my boyfriend at the time, I think. But I asked him, like, what am I good at? Like, am I
Yeah.
good at anything? What am I good at? What am I talented at? What are my skills? Because what's probably going to happen is the most mundane thing to you is going to be the thing that fascinates other people and is going to be the thing that you are just excelling at compared to other people. So when I asked my husband that question, he was like, "You're really good at Instagram. You're really good at organizing your just like life and like your business and professional corporate job. You're really good at organizing that. And like those two things you're really good at." And I was like, not everybody is good at those things. Like growing on Instagram is easy. I don't get it. Like, what do you mean
Yep.
that's unique to me? So I think just asking your loved ones and people who are close to you, like, hey, what are some things that I'm good at? Or if you could come to me for advice on anything, what would it be? And if that approach doesn't work for you, I am totally in support of like niche hopping in the beginning and just like post whatever the heck you want to figure out what feels true to you and the most authentic to you. I niched hop for the first like year of my content creator journey, and being able to create a bunch of different content helped me realize like, oh, that is not me. Like I wanted that to be me because I like to watch creators like that, but that's not me. And
Yeah.
so just like test content out and see what sticks.
I love what you're talking about here in terms of like testing. I feel like overall at the end of the day, like it's going to be very difficult for you to figure out where to double down if you're not testing. You're not going to know. The best way that I think about it, who's ever been to like the mall and like they're like, hey, like, do you want to try this appetizer? And it's like 8 people trying to get you to try appetizers. I know you go to the food court. So for those in the chat, like you know what I'm talking about. You're in the food court. They're like, hey, check out this like appetizer, and you're kind of like, okay, I guess. But then it's good, and you're like, yo, I want to go get the full meal. And I see content creation the same way. It's like
Mm.
you got to test out a couple topics, and maybe you do a couple videos on it, and it's good. Maybe it's not, and then you go from there. So there's a good question here that relates to what you just talked about.
Mhm.
So this question here is saying, hey, my channel's been growing subscribers, but watch time is low. How can I fix that? Right. So this could be maybe switching up the topic. This could be maybe doubling down on something that's already growing, but the watch time's low here. So if you have any type of advice for this individual here, we'll love to hear that as well.
Yeah, my first advice is to take a deep dive into your analytics. If your watch time is low, you're going to want to know at what point in your videos are people dropping out. So study a few videos, maybe your past 3 months of content, and try to see if there's like a common denominator of drop off time or where that's dropping off. Sometimes it's like in the video, you do your intro and then you're talking a bit and then you stop and you're like, oh, and by the way, if you're not subscribed, so you like stop the flow. And so
Mm,
you might find a common factor of like, oh, every time I stop the flow to say, hey, subscribe to my channel and like this video and comment below and do all these things. Like when you do that little segment, maybe that's where you're getting the drop off time and people are leaving because maybe they think the video's over. So they're like, okay, bye. And they're leaving too soon. So I just, my biggest thing is analytics, analytics, analytics. Take a look at that. And then when you define where people are dropping off, maybe it's not even that segment. Maybe it's you were talking too long on tip one, right? You like started repeating yourself. I noticed I did that a lot in my first few YouTube videos of when I would give tips, I would like say that tip and then I would like say the same thing, but like another way. And then I would say it again. And then I would tell a story about the tip. And like
mm.
people are just like, okay, I don't need to know the story. Just give me the tip, action, boom, next tip. So I think studying that drop off time is going to help you understand your viewers and what piques their interest and what drops their interest.
So I think it's a little bit harder on YouTube, but I'm actually curious on this. And Janelle, let us know if that answered your question. And everybody that's listening in, we appreciate you listening here on a Friday. If you have questions, continuously let us know in the chat. Just like we got the air horns here, we're fired up, we're excited. So let us know in the chat if you have any questions. The follow-up question I have here as well is this is probably more for Instagram. If you're on this path, right, to going towards a creator, or even LinkedIn was also it also can be suitable here for as well for people listening in from that platform. When you're thinking about engaging with your audience, right? Okay, we have our vision. We've decided, okay, we're doing some content. We maybe are niched it out, whatever you want to call it. How do you engage with your audience? Are you saying, hey, every single person that engaged on a post, you should comment? How are you messaging people? How are you truly building what we like to call the community as you're on this path?
Mhm. And this is like specifically for Instagram, you started saying,
Yeah,
right?
let's like start Instagram, and then I think it probably would relate to other platforms, but
Mhm.
Instagram for sure. Maybe some YouTube, probably have some questions in there as well. But I would kind of say all over social media too.
Yeah, so Instagram is interesting because there's different strategies per different goals. So if your goal is to grow on Instagram, those actions that you take are going to be different than if your goal is to increase engagement. So if my goal is to increase engagement, these actions that I'm going to give you, they might not fall in alignment with the growth tips. So you might not see rapid growth after doing all of them, but they're great for the engagement side of things. So I'll just want to say that up front is like this is specifically increasing engagement. One, I love making sure to reply to all of my comments that I get on any type of content that I post. If you're posting a reel and somebody asks a question on the comment of that video, replying to that question with another reel, kind of like creating that snowball effect, binge worthy content. Another great way for increasing engagement is stories and posting engaging stories. Those are that's talking to your followers. And my favorite is getting in the DMs. So DMs is the best way to increase your engagement because it's the most intimate form of communication on Instagram, therefore telling the algorithm, "Hey, me and this person are best friends. We talk every day in the DMs. Show my content to them." So if you're DMing somebody, you're telling the algorithm, "Hey, show my content to them, show me their content." And a great organic way to get into somebody's DMs because I'm not somebody where like if you follow me on Instagram, I'm not going to send you a message like, "Hey, buddy, thanks for the follow." Like I'm not going to cold DM you. So what I do is like I'll go to a recent post of mine and see who engaged with it or who liked it and pull up that list of people who liked it. And anybody who has an active story bubble, I'm going to watch their story and see if there's anything that I could genuinely reply to. So if they posted their morning coffee or they're at a coffee shop, I'm going to reply to their story to get into their DMs and be like, yum, that looks amazing, right? So that's like an organic way to get into somebody's DMs that will eventually be increasing your engagement over time. So that's my Instagram strategy.
I love that. I mean, essentially, it's just like being active without being annoying. I think
Yeah.
that's like, I think that's like sums it all up. And I don't know if y'all heard that in the audience too. Like that's what I'm hearing because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you don't want to be the person who's like, hey, hope all is well. I just want to chat today. And it's like, okay, I really don't. I don't have the time for that. But
Yeah.
and
No.
if I'm interacting with what you're already doing and I can be a part of the conversation, that's incredible, right? And that's going to help you along the way. So I really like that answer. And people, as you continuously ask questions, we're going to get to them. So keep them on. I really like this question here. What advice could you give someone starting his or her new entrepreneurship and content creation from scratch? How do you think you could find a niche or niche, whatever, and how can you overcome being overwhelmed about where to start? So, three loaded questions here. So, I think the first
Yeah.
one we're going to start is like starting out content creation from scratch. What you should do. I know you have a lot of great videos on systems and process. So, I think that's where you're going to go here. But let's start there.
Yeah, so I love this question because there's a lot of us who are multi-passionate people, and so narrowing down a niche when you're just starting is an overwhelming thing because we love so many topics. It's like I want to be a content creator, but I don't know what kind of content creator because I love food, coffee, my dog, fitness and fashion and traveling. What do I do? So what I did and what I think is really helpful, if you haven't already like asked somebody like, hey, what am I good at? What would you come to me for advice on? Get sticky notes, and every topic that you would want to talk about or every like maybe Instagram post idea that you have, write it on a sticky note, just each individual one, and do set a timer for 5 minutes, do it for 5 minutes and be like, okay, I can make a video like this and da 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 sticky note. And then I could talk about, oh, who do you want to talk to? I want to motivate women to change their lives, write that down. And then after the 5 minutes, you're going to organize those sticky notes you'll find common themes. So you'll be like, oh, I really want to like, all of these sticky notes look very inspirational. Like, I want to inspire people to do something. So let me categorize it here. And you'll see that some piles will have more sticky notes than others, and start there. Whichever pile has the most sticky notes, just like start creating that content and work your way through those piles, because then it gets to, hey, just try everything. But at least you now have kind of some system in place. You've brain dumped and you've organized that brain dump. And then of course watch all of my YouTube videos for the strategy behind it, behind posting.
Yeah, definitely go check out her videos on that. So we're gonna go to the next question here on the niche side because I want to dive a little bit more into that. But there's something that you mentioned there that I think is incredibly important is writing it out, like the sticky notes and seeing what's in your head. I have found, and put a one in the chat if maybe this is right now. I have found that you have all the ideas and the content in your head, but you're overthinking it, and instead
Mhm.
of just creating it, you're stopping your own self. So put a one if you feel like you're maybe over analyzing, overthinking, and you haven't done this exercise in the sticky note. I'd encourage every single person out of this live to start doing that. I have actually personally, that's why I keep looking down. I have a whiteboard desk. So when I have an idea, I just write it down on the whiteboard. I found that to be helpful for me because I was going to Office Depot too much and buying too many sticky notes. They were in there like, yo, are you good? Like, why do you keep coming in here? But I was like, yeah, I got a lot to talk about. So that's like what I would recommend. So one in the chat if y'all feel that way. So we have that. I think that's incredible advice for people to immediately start thinking about that. But before we go into the niche or the niche here, we have some people that maybe are like, I'm afraid to get on video, or I'm afraid to put myself out
Mhm.
there. Can we talk about that part? Because even if you write down the sticky notes, you have your topics, you may still mentally not be able to ready to post. So can you talk about the process that maybe you went through before you were like, okay, I'm comfortable posting on social, or maybe it's an ongoing struggle.
Mhm.
Talk about that a little bit, and then we'll go into the next part of this question.
Yeah, the kind of common theme that I'm seeing with both questions, the like I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, and also the I don't know, I'm kind of uncomfortable on camera, and like how do I get over that? I also see both of those as semi self-sabotaging behaviors or mindsets. So like being overwhelmed and like not knowing where to start, it's just like if you just start, you don't have to have a strategy set. You don't have to have it perfect. That's like perfectionism stopping you. So like identifying and knowing like, okay, I'm kind of self-sabotaging right now. And that uncomfort of being on camera or discomfort of being on camera, that could also be like just a self-sabotaging thing of like, okay, no, like I can do this. I can do this. So a book that I recommend for anybody who's like kind of feeling stuck somewhere is The Mountain Is You. That's a really cool book that talks about all the different ways of that we self-sabotage and how to overcome all of those things. So definitely my favorite read for anybody who is interested in that. Now, when it comes to okay, what's tactical practical steps for like how do I get comfortable in front of the camera? First step is to just like be in front of the camera and not even recording anything. Just have your phone and turn the camera on and turn it on yourself and that's it. You don't have to record. Just like get comfortable, familiar, not even comfortable, get familiar with seeing yourself on camera. Not for posting, not for nothing, just like for your own. Okay. It's kind of like when you hear your voice back on your phone, you like set your new, like, hi, this is Millie. Thank you for calling. Leave your name and number. Bye. And then you listen to it back and you're like, I sound like that, you
Yeah,
know?
like, what's going on?
Yeah. So getting familiar there and realizing there's also a lot of confirmation bias. Is that what's called confirmation bias that's happening?
Mhm.
Where if you are telling yourself, I am so awkward on camera, like, oh my gosh, I'm so awkward on camera. And then you're recording yourself and you already believe that. When you watch yourself back, all you're going to see is that you're awkward on camera because you've already preconceived believed that you're uncomfortable and you're awkward. So that's all you're going to see. So you got
Right.
to work through that confirmation bias of just being like, no, I'm just like normal. I'm a normal person on camera that's just like talking to a camera. So that's kind of where I would start. I feel like there was like another part of the question that I'm missing. Was there something else that we asked or talked about?
It was just it was just the core of. I think you answered the majority of it because what we're talking about is what is the core of how you can get over that mental like overthinking gap, and you
Ah,
and you and you went through like how can you get started, but maybe that mental piece for people as well.
yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I think people think it's supposed to be easy or it's supposed to feel natural when you're starting, but that's not really the case. Especially like starting any new platform, it's gonna feel weird and it's gonna feel awkward. Even myself, like when I started on TikTok just last year, I was like, oh, I'm gonna commit to TikTok. It
Yep.
was weird and it was uncomfortable. And I think just when you can be okay with feeling uncomfortable, that's when you're going to see a lot of growth because growth happens from a place of discomfort. It's not going to happen from a place of comfort. It's like if like going up each stairs, if you're going upstairs, you're getting to like a higher level elevation that you've never been before. And so that new place that you've never been before, it's going to be weird, just like being on camera for the first time or making content for the first time. Or maybe there's people in your life that they've told you like they think content creators are weird. Or maybe in your past, you and your friend would laugh at certain videos because like, oh, that's so cringy. Ha ha ha. So you have that like subconscious memory and that seed that's been planted of past experiences of people you know, or maybe yourself who have laughed at those people before. And so that's kind of the thing that's holding you back. And I think it just comes like not trial and error, but just doing it over and over and just taking action, uncomfortable action. And eventually that comfort will come.
I love that part around when you're creating it can be weird. Like I don't know if you were like this, but back in high school, especially middle school, anyone who was creating content roast.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
yo, what you're a loser. And then now I look at myself and I'm like, are you like I guess now I'm who I laughed at. So I think it's interesting, like over time, how that progresses. And I think one of the core things that you're talking about is truly having that self-love I forgot who said this, and I don't remember the video I was watching, but it like really hit home with me. It was like you truly can have self love for yourself is when you can watch your videos and you don't cringe anymore.
Mhm.
And I found that to be really powerful because when you first, I don't know about you, but when I first watched my first video, I was like, what the heck is going on? I didn't want to listen to myself. I was like, post, I don't
Yeah.
want to see it. Now I can like watch it and like I don't do it as much. And so I found that to be like very, very interesting.
Yeah, what's funny is even now to this day, I'll make a video and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny." And then I post it and a week or the next day I'm watching the video and I'm like, "I did that?" I'm, like, cringing at myself, like, what was I thinking? But, like, at least I took action, and I tried something new. Previous Millie thought it was so cool, so I'm just gonna trust past Millie because past Millie was having a lot of fun with it, and she just, like, she went for it. So I'm just gonna be like, "Okay, I created it. It's on the internet. Even though I'm cringing at myself now, other people liked it. Like, other people are commenting on it." So it still happens where, like, I look back and I'm like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that," but,
Right.
we just get over it.
We do, and so the biggest piece that we do not want is you don't want to say, "Hey, I'm overthinking it. This isn't for me. Like people are making fun of me." Ignore that. Do your thing, because otherwise you're gonna regret it, and then you're gonna feel like this. You're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, right?" You don't want to feel that way. So that's
Right.
really really important. So. Gabrielle, hopefully that answered your question. And then also, Priya, I saw your question earlier about how to be a creator and handle multiple accounts. I feel like
Mm.
we touched on that a lot with what we talked about in the sticky notes. So, Priya, let us know if we need to dive deeper there. We can absolutely do that. And for everyone who asked their question, I'm about to hop right into these questions. So, we're all good there. And I appreciate everyone's questions. These are really, really good questions. So, keep them coming. We're going to answer as many as we can for our time. And so, we're going to dive right into it. So, we'll get some shout outs real quick as I get to this next question. Shout out to Rachel. She loves your videos and across the board. And she said, I was curious if you had a resource that outlined hooks that have worked for you on your Instagram reels. This obviously can, I assume, work for your TikTok short form videos. There's nano tips on LinkedIn coming soon. So talk to a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I definitely do. I actually have a free downloadable that, it's 50 Reels hooks that you could use to increase engagement on Reels, Instagram. It's also has TikTok hooks. So I will have to find the location for that, but it does exist, probably on my website. That's what I would use. I'm looking for it right now, so
We're gonna see, Rachel, if we can get that. We'll put it up on the screen for you as well. So hopefully I answer your question, and so we can dive into that. So hang tight on that. Blair, what's up? Good seeing you. You're gonna get the air horn. It's good. So it's good seeing you. So you can get the air horn. All right. So we have some questions coming in, and we're gonna go into them. So okay, this one is strong here. So I'm gonna zoom out on this. I'm strongly considering creating content on my own channels about my company's product. Are there any guidelines or recommendations to put my personality into my company's brand, but not necessarily overshadow the company with my personal brand?
let me read that again because 'cause I'm digesting it. So
So simply put, he wants to create content about his company's product, but how does he make sure it's not too corporate?
ah, mm. Well, I think the biggest thing, this might sound counterintuitive, but when you're creating content about a product, don't make it about the product. Doesn't make any sense when you first hear that advice, because if you're constantly making, like, my water bottle, for example, if I'm like, one video, I'm like, "This is the best water bottle that you'll ever have." And then the next video, I'm like, "Dude, this water bottle," and I'm just, like, constantly making content that's talking about the product.
It is a
Mm,
cool water bottle though. Like,
it is,
I
it
saw it,
is.
and I was just like, wait, hold up, like
Damn, son, where'd
I
you
was like,
find
yeah, that's
this?
actually kind of good water bottle, but
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So instead, I would like reverse engineer it and make your content about the audience of that product. So if people maybe they want this because they want to stay hydrated, or they're maybe into fitness, like more self-help, hey, I want to work on bettering my life. So make content around the need of that product. Make content around the people for that product. Use those like trending sounds to make relatable content, and then just like have this as like a prop, you don't have to talk about it. It could be a prop in that video. Am I kind of answering that well?
I would also add Tyrell as well. Check out Zapier; they actually do a really good job of doing this type of content on TikTok. They've done an incredible job, and then also as well, like I fully agree. It's really about speaking to the buyer's pain points and then merging it in where you can. So Tyrell, let us know if that helped answer the question. We can dive deeper. So we have some other ones coming through. I see y'all's questions, so I have them all lined up. So we're just going through one by one here. Okay, so how long, this is interesting here, how long should you post videos on YouTube when you've just started before looking at your analytics? I started in March, already did the niche down, writing, and getting a dozen views and 9 subscribers.
I mean, you could look at your analytics anytime, really. I think where it's going to be the most helpful is once you start gaining a little bit of traction, that's going to give you some more insight, obviously, because you have more data or data to look through. I think starting out, maybe instead of studying your analytics, if you're like, I don't really have any analytics, I would start with competitor research or your niche neighbors. So instead of studying your accounts, studying their accounts. And so pull up 3 to 5 channels that are kind of doing something that you want to be doing. They have a good example of a successful platform for that niche or industry, and organize their videos, because you could sort their videos by like recently or top performed, and look at some of their top performing videos. What are those topics, as long as they're not like 10 years old, right? So see like some of their top performing videos and what topics performed really well for them, and maybe make your own version of those. That was how I started. Was I would look at competitors or niche neighbors and figure out, okay, what was working well for them and how can I fill in the gaps that they're not talking about in these videos. So maybe sometimes people will do like that clickbait question where it's like, I bought a car, and they didn't really buy a new car, they just like rented it for the day. So like there's different versions of clickbait in every industry. So sometimes the clickbait in my industry would be like, get 1 million followers in 30 days. And it's like, really? You could do that? So maybe the gap was honesty and transparency. And so I would make my own version of that video to actually communicate what people were not communicating. So that would be my strategy when you don't have the analytics to look through quite yet.
All right, Bella, let us know if that helped answer your question as we dove into that. And so, we're right now at 30 minutes, and so we like to just real quick on Muffins and Morgan. We just like just the halftime. All right, it's just the halftime, so get a little energy in there. And so real quick, we just want to make sure that this is helpful. I mean, y'all are hanging out with us here on a Friday afternoon. Some people, it's way later in your day, depending on what country you're in. So just in the chat, if you could just let me know, has this been helpful? Has this been insightful? Let us know. We want to make sure we're in the right spot. Or if it's not been helpful, we can both just leave. We're just done. We'll just hang out somewhere else. But we want to make sure that this is helpful for you all across the board. And we're going to dive into some more questions across the board here. And so as we do that, I know someone earlier asked about the hooks. So y'all, we have it here. So I'm going to quickly put this up on the screen. If you want to use your phone, you can then screenshot that for the QR code. So I know a lot of people just said that they wanted some hooks here. So if you want some hooks for your reels, you want some hooks for some TikTok, for short form videos, I just put that up there. So definitely.
It's completely free, by the way, free downloadable, 50 hooks for your short form content. So
dive into it, check it out. I know a couple people asked for that, so we'll keep it up on the screen so you can check that out. Again, all you have to do is scan that QR code and you're good to go. All right, y'all. So we're going to keep that up for a bit so people have that, but we're going to get into some more questions. So let's see here. We have one. All right. I think this is what a couple people have been asking so far. How do you figure out scheduling? What days and times work best for you? And I'm assuming, I'm also going to dive into this a little bit as well. I'm assuming this kind of goes probably into batching as well, like to create the content, but I'm also maybe assuming posting as part of it as well.
Yeah. So what's interesting, what happened to work out is what works well for you, the days and times that work well for you to post is probably the same days and times that work well for your audience. So the great thing about social media, and especially YouTube, I could talk more about Instagram and TikTok, but especially YouTube, is it's like your own Netflix show. It's your own thing. You could create your own posting schedule, and that can be just like the go-to that people will get familiar with. You get to create that consistency. So if Wednesday mornings posting it to auto post at 6 a.m., if Wednesday mornings at 6 a.m. works for you, it's going to work for your audience. So just find something that just like fits your schedule. And if you stick to it over a period of time, it's going to kind of program your audience to be familiar with that schedule. Now, I'm not going to not talk about the fact that like platforms will give you data to analyze and say, hey, this is actually the best time for you to post. So you can be aware of that. And some factors that go into that is your audience and where your audience lives. And I'm in Pacific Standard Time, I'm in California, but if my audience is in the UK, that's something I want to be aware of. Or if my target audience is in the UK, then it's like, okay, what would be the best time for them? And oftentimes that alignment will probably fall with the data that Instagram spits out at you or TikTok spits out at you. And then if you are going off of those charts that those platforms provide, always posting a little bit before the peak so that your content is already up when time peaks on that chart.
I love that. I love that. Let us know if that was helpful, Tamola. If not, we can go more into it. And thanks everyone for in the chat. Let us know this is helpful. Continuously ask your questions. We'll dive into it across the board. And I actually want to bring up this. So Tyrell is back with even deeper context. And so he said, okay, he does want a deeper dive. So we're here. We're here for the deeper dives. And so if it was my company, I would just go all out my personality. Fair. But he said his apprehension is if it's all about him and his personality, not about the company, he's worried, and it says over here, worried that it would create conflict because it would just like cause that tension. But then he also saying that the company is not posting social at all.
So I'm gonna say this, and if you know Morgan, you can answer. I'm From what I'm understanding, this is the company's account, and he's creating for the company's account.
So he wants to create content through his own account.
Okay.
But he wants to talk about his company. And he's worried that if he goes into his own personality, it will deter away from what he's trying to promote from the company. At least, Taro, that's what I'm understanding from this question.
If it's your own account, then you like can do whatever the heck you want. Like obviously you want to represent the company well, but also like don't be afraid of your own personality getting in the way. Like that's your own personality. Like let your personality hang loose. Let it free. Let it run. So like yeah, don't worry about like, oh, I don't want to make it about me, because like if it's your platform, make it about you, and then sprinkle in a little bit of the product, sprinkle in a little bit about your company. I understand that there would be like hesitation there because like you want the best interest for that company and for the product that you're talking about. But also like it's your platform, so you can do whatever the heck you want with your platform. You don't even have to talk about the product if you don't want to. So I just say read the book The Mountain Is You, and let's get over like the self-sabotage that may be happening, and like yeah, just have fun with it. Have fun with it, because that content's probably going to perform best anyway.
Typically, that's the case, and I feel like across the board, that's where a lot of this is like self sabotage. Like, oh yeah, I don't know, but like you don't know until you do it, right? And then you can figure out how to adjust from there. Which I feel like is the big piece for a lot of people here is that like, oh wait, I've been self sabotaging myself this entire time, right? So this turned into you were learning how to be a creative, but it really was therapy. So
yeah.
So let's shift into this because this goes back into time management a little bit. Have you ever had a hard time remaining focused on a task? I mean, that's like super broad, but I guess to kind of expand that question is like, how do you make sure you do remain on task, especially as a creator, right? Because there has to be like a study on this, like how fried our dopamines are, but like your dopamines are firing because you're like notifications, DMs, da da da. And so like, how do you stay on task with everything going on?
Yeah. Ooh, this is a good one. And I could probably have a million tips for this, but we don't have a million minutes. So, a few things, and I'll try to like sum it up. First is your phone. I like to separate my phone and my laptop. I work on my laptop. That is where I work. I don't work on my phone unless I'm like filming content, then like I'll grab my phone. But when I'm working, my phone is either not in arm's reach or it is on do not disturb. So, get the phone out of the room if you have to. If like those notifications are distracting you, if social media is distracting you, get it out of your way and then like sit down and do the dang thing even if you don't want to.
Hmm.
But also what goes into that is maybe three other things. One, batching. Two, time blocking. Three, working with your body. Batching is when you just work on one task and you just like da 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 get it done for like a certain period of time. For example, when I'm scripting my YouTube videos, I'm not just going to script one video today and then script one video tomorrow and then script the next day. Like I'm going to batch script as many videos as I can in one sitting, or at least that day. So like I'll work and then I'll have lunch and then I'll work again. So that's batching. Time blocking might work better for some people where, okay, in the morning from 9 to 10 a.m., I am replying to emails. That's my hour block. From 10 to 11 a.m., I'm in Slack and supporting my team. Then from 11 to 12, that's my lunch break. 12 to 3, that's going to be my creative block. That's where I'm going to create, I'm going to research, I'm going to film. So doing time block that way can help some people. And then third, working with your body. Listen to your body and like do kind of understand the difference between like laziness and your body not wanting
really
to do something.
my body and I'm not going to do anything. I'm like, no.
Yeah. So like there's a fine line. So I'm not just being like, don't ever work if you don't want to. That's not what I'm saying. I think specifically for anybody who has like was born with like the female production system and has those hormones every single month, the way our bodies work is different than the way men's bodies work. So if you have a 30-day hormone cycle, you're actually going to be more productive at like one time of the month than like men. Usually their hormone cycle every 24 hours. So maybe with Morgan, he's like 11 a.m. I'm productive. 11 a.m. every single day. I'm just like boom, boom, boom. And you could like get ish done at 11 a.m. every day. So like for men, that's usually how it is. For people who have a 30-day cycle, there's going to be like 1 week where you're better on camera. And then there's going to be another week where you're better doing admin tasks. Like don't talk to anybody on camera. You're not going to be nice, right? Like just focus on admin tasks. And then there's going to be another week where that's like your analytics week, you're studying data and you're getting like super into it. So understanding your body has like different programs in it every week, and working with your body instead of against it will help you get a good flow of content creation and running your business.
I mean, I know we talked about that off camera, and I was just like blown away by that. It's like that perspective and advice. Like, I don't think anyone's even thinking about that. And even on like Twitter, I saw someone put this, and I was like, wow, that's a really good way of framing it too. They theme their days. Like they said, you theme in the week. So they'll be like, hey, Monday, I only have like 3 meetings max, and it's only admin day. Friday's like, okay, that's only content. I'll do a couple meetings. I think it's important for us to theme out as much as we can, right? I know people's lives are busy, but I really like the way that you're saying, hey, this week is this is what this is going to be. And when you made that switch, how impactful was that for you as a creator? Do you feel like your audience responded like even more to you because they felt you were more alive? Like, talk about that.
So what's interesting is I don't think my audience noticed the change because like either way I was getting stuff done. You know, I
Right.
was creating, I was filming, and I was getting ish done. I think the biggest change was what happened with me and my own self-talk, because before I would like be really hard on myself like, oh, you're not filming enough, you're not being productive enough. I would see some of my competitors who are men and they're posting like 2 reels a day every single day, and I'm telling myself I'm not doing enough because like they're posting and they're on their stories. I'm like, and filming every day on their stories. And they're like, yeah, I just got 7 reels done again today. And I'm like, I would be so down on myself and I would feel like crap because they're being more productive than me. And then once I realized like, oh, my body literally just like wants to flourish during these times where I'm like, I'm gonna be super expressive during this week. And once I accepted the fact that, like, okay, my routine is gonna look different than his routine, I gave myself so much more grace, and there was just so much more freedom, understanding that, like, I don't have to post every single day. I don't have to film every single day. Like, that is so freeing. And I just, like, yeah, I gave myself so much more grace with my posting schedule and my creation schedule. And it also helped my team a lot, because instead of me stressing to get them a new video every day, we created a system where it's like, okay, Millie sends in content on this day every month, and then we'll edit the content for review so you can review all content on the 15th of every month, and then we're ready for the next month. So it just freed up a lot of mental space and stress for me and my body.
I love that. So I hope that everyone really took that advice and is starting to figure out how they can listen to their body more, theme out their weeks, days, whatever it may be. Thanks for the question. Hopefully I answered it. If you need a deeper dive, we're more than happy to do that. But I feel like we really went deep on that one to get that one across the board. So that's something as well. Now, this is a little bit more of a pivotal, like a pivot on a question. Someone asked this earlier about any advice on blogging. Is it even still working? I mean it's
Mm.
still part of a social strategy, I guess, to a certain degree, but as a creator, like, should people even be worried about this? Like, has AI completely obliterated this? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, okay. I do post a blog every week. So I don't know if people know that about me and my platform. So I have YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, my email list, but I'm also posting a blog post every single week. And I think it's just for me at least, it's a nice central place to lead people back to that I own. You know, I can post a Pinterest. Oh, I also do Pinterest. I could post a pin, and then it's like 5 tips for growing on Instagram. And people click on the pin, it leads them to my blog post. In my blog post, it has all resources they would need, plus any affiliate links. If I mention, hey, you can use TubeBuddy for your YouTube videos, I could affiliate link TubeBuddy. And it's just like a great way to lead people back to a hub and a destination that I own, that's not owned by anybody else. Would I say my blogs are the best performing with getting me organic traffic all the time? No, but I do get a couple of thousand visitors every month of people who found my blog organically, or my website organically. So it's just a nice to have for me. I don't think, if you're stressing about it, don't stress about it right now, and don't feel like you have to do that or else blah 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 blah. Like, there's nothing that you have to do in this day and age. It's just like, give yourself grace, be where your gut is telling you to be. And but I will suggest having an email list, period.
That's incredibly important, especially as the platforms will change up on you quick, like
Yeah.
like out of nowhere. So important to get that list going. All right, y'all. So we have about like 5 to 10 minutes left. If you have a burning question, now is the time to ask. If it was missed, you can re-ask it in the chat. This is going to be incredibly important. But I'm going to shift because I have a question for Millie here. Now, when you think about, you mentioned competitors earlier. I think one of the things that a lot of people do when they're creating is they put themselves in a silo where they maybe don't want to collaborate, and they're like, I have to do this all on my own. What have you found the importance in collaborating on your path as being a creator? How should you collaborate, and how should you think about them?
Ooh, that's a fun question. So yeah, I have collaborated with a few content creators and a few competitors. I say niche neighbors because, like, there's enough space for everybody. And I don't do it often, but I do it when it just feels organic. I don't force a collaboration and be like, "Hey, you want to collab and, like, exchange audiences? Let's do this. Let's do this." Like, it's just when I meet somebody organically that I'm just like, "You're pretty cool. Like, let's hang out." Like those people that I would want to hang out with if we lived, in a good close enough distance, not across the country. And those people, I'm just like, "Hey, we share a similar audience. Do you want to post a reel together? Do you want to do a podcast and, like, give value to our audiences together? Do you want to go live together?" So I it can be part of your strategy, and it can be something that, if you're starting out, you could do like a weekly collaboration with somebody in your niche. But I think just making sure it comes across as like organic as possible is the biggest value that your audience can get. And if it feels forced, like don't do the collab because your audience will be able to feel that.
Yeah. What do you do in a scenario where, because this is I think this is important for a lot of people listening in. You meet somebody, person, Zoom, phone call, etc., but you feel a bad vibe or an off vibe about
Mm.
them, but they have a big audience. You know, if you did something with them, you could get audience out of them, but then you know it's a bad vibe. How is it important to listen to that feeling of a bad vibe and knowing that, again, like you said, it could be bad for the audience? Because some people might be like, oh, I'll ignore it and still do it, and then it ends up being actually really terrible for them.
Yeah, listen to your gut, man. Say no. Instead of thinking of it as like, oh man, I missed this opportunity, think of it as like, I'm making space for a better opportunity because you really got to trust your gut. If you're getting bad vibes from somebody or like just a weird vibe, a forced vibe, it's just like best to support them from a distance. Be like, you go, I will support you from a distance, but us working together is like I'm gonna save that space for somebody else that uplifts me and it feels good.
That's so important, y'all. Like there are people that I have met and they have really large audiences, but I felt an awful vibe. I was just like, I don't know. It's just like, you're just like,
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know about you. And then found out I was like, oh, they did this thing. I was like, oh yeah, cool. Like that's why I felt off. Like if something was wrong, right? So
Yeah.
don't ever compromise you trying to get more audience or followers when you have an off vibe about someone. In the long run, like that typically doesn't pan out very well. At least what I've seen.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some questions that are coming in here that are pretty rapid fire. If you have someone like this is the time because we're gonna move very quickly. Before we do that, we did share the hooks earlier, but we do have something on how to monetize social. A lot of y'all ask questions like, "How do I do this? How do I go about that?" Well, the guide is here, so I'm gonna put this up for y'all as well if you want to download it. Millie, I know you can speak to this a little bit more, but we're gonna answer these questions. But if you want to talk to this guy real quick, I mean, essentially, basically, is how to monetize on social media. But I don't know if you want to add more to it in context, but it's word.
Yeah, so I made this not workbook, like e-guide. It's over 40 pages long and it goes into 10 different ways you can make money as a content creator with under 1,000 followers. So it's free again. You can download it over 40 pages. It walks you through each one. So if it's like, hey, here's an idea that you can make money, it's not just here's the idea, peace out, Girl Scout. It's like, here's the idea and this is how you do it step by step. So over 40 pages of goodness, 10 ways to make money. It's great.
Check it out, y'all. Check it out. All right, so this is I'm gonna compact this question. So
Yeah.
essentially, the question is, I am starting as a creator. I don't have as much money and budget to do cosplay, and I want to create that content and do art and fashion. How do I start?
Utilize green screen. The green screen effect on TikTok, on Instagram. I would say short form content might be your go-to because the green screen, I know it works really well on like TikTok and Instagram Reels. So utilize green screen. Instead of dressing up for cosplay, you could have the background be the place, be the setting. Get crazy with the clothes that you already have, with put your hair up in a weird way, or maybe your one investment is like a wig set, right? So there's so many ways you can go about it, and I think your green screen filter is going to be like the best key for that.
Let us know if that was helpful to answer that question. So next
Yeah.
one is, how important is niche? I make funny gaming videos, and so I find that I find it works backwards to niche down on one game when the funniest games are new and broken.
Yeah, great question. And I'm trying to like rapid fire answer these. So if it's like short, that's why. So I guess it depends, yeah, on the platform. I've actually heard like niching down on a specific game is most helpful, but if that's not what you're seeing based off of what you're testing out, follow what's working for you and trust your own analytics. I'm not a gamer. I've only heard other advice from other like coaches who teach that. So it's like just study your analytics. If your analytics are saying one thing, follow that and ride with it because maybe the way that you're doing that video is a gap in the market that needs to be happening.
Helpful. Let us know if that answered your question. Okay, so this is extremely broad, so you can go wherever this you want to. TikTok or YouTube in 2023?
Personally, like, hey, Millie, which one do you like? YouTube? That's my personal preference. And then if you're like, oh, what about for me? Which one should I do? That depends on your one, who you want to be reaching, the type of people you want to be reaching, and two, for what was I going to say? Oh, two, the type of content you like to create. If you like long form content and you like making long form videos, you could definitely, YouTube's going to be your best bet. If you like, hey, on the whim, fly by the seat of your pants, you don't really want to have a set strategy or niche, TikTok's going to be your best bet for short form because they're short form royalty. If you have a niche and you want to make short form, YouTube, because when you niche down, you could do shorts. It's going to do great. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's just like what platform you love and what type of content you like to make.
Hopefully, I have to answer the question. And then this one here, this is an interesting one. So, do you have any advice for a student going to the Caribbean? So that's cool. On a marketing internship with the chocolate companies. This is, I'm like, this is already this. Honestly, when I read I'm gonna be real with you. When I read the first part of this question, I was like, hold up, are you going to Willy Wonka's factory?
Damn, son, where'd you
like,
find
are
this?
you trying to troll us right now? But like, okay,
Yes.
I'm with you. I'm with you. So, are there any resources or advice you have on what I should focus on? And he's also saying they're looking to target the UK. There's a lot here.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. Well, if they're looking to target audiences in the UK, I would look for coaches and content creators that are educating on marketing who are based in the UK, because each platform is going to work differently in different countries. So finding UK based creators that are educating on marketing, that's where I would start, because they're going to know how to market to UK creators. And then yeah, I think I would just start finding those creators and listen to their advice, because I don't want to say anything additional that would actually be counterintuitive to what they would recommend.
Perfect. So hopefully that's helpful there, Connor. So those are all the questions, y'all. We're going to wrap up here. For those listening on multiple platforms, let us know if you enjoyed this conversation. And Millie, and also as well, Millie, if they want to find you, I mean, you've already talked about YouTube, Instagram. I'm assuming that's where it's going to be at. But where can they find you?
Yes, so you can find me on YouTube. You can look up Modern Millie or Millie Adrian. That's my main platform. That's where I do all my educational content. If you want to just like hang out with me a little bit more casually, you could find me both on Instagram and TikTok. My handle is at It's Modern Millie. It does start with the it's, so It's Modern Millie. And yeah, that's where you can find me, and that's where I'm hanging out.
Awesome, y'all. Well, thanks for hanging out on another Muffins with Morgan. We do this on 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn, YouTube, and other places. So hopefully, y'all enjoyed this information. And you know what I always say, y'all, is at the end of the day, like, actually do this. That's always my one thing I tell people. Like, actually do what we talked about. I always say that the biggest waste of time in the world is watching an interview, listening to a podcast, and doing nothing. Because then it just like you could have been doing so many other things. So
Yeah.
I guess someone has one last. I mean, this is a quick one. Like where to store data and backup data. I'm assuming D drive. No, I mean, guys, technically I should do it there, but where do you store?
Yeah, I use hard drive. I use this Easy Store hard drive for all of my raw footage. It's organized by year and then by month and then by the video topic. So you go into this hard drive, it has 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and then you open it and then it's by the month that I posted that video, and then it's by the topic of that video. So I use that for backing up all of my footage.
Cool. That's just called Easy Store.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Easy
All right, y'all.
Store.
Check that out. But we're out, y'all. That's it for the conversation. Again, thanks so much for hanging with us. Y'all have a blessed Friday and a blessed weekend, and hope to see y'all soon. Cheers.